Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Junior.
And I'm exhausted.
And we're
The Nerdy Bros.
Welcome back to the show, everybody.
Welcome back to the show. I don't know what that was. Sorry.
I thought you were going to go into something else after
No,
that.
I have nothing. I have nothing prepared for you guys at all, ever. I know sometimes Junior and I have been doing something random at the start of the show, which tangents off into nothing.
Not this time.
Not this time.
We're getting right into it.
Right into. We're gonna dive right in. I've got nothing else to say. Besides, I hope you guys enjoyed last week's episode, and I hope you guys are gonna enjoy this one. And we'll jump right into Junior's hot take, and this is the part of the episode, everybody, where we ask Junior about something new and upcoming, and get his hot take and hot opinion on it, and see what's going on in that brain of his. Junior,
Tito,
have you seen a trailer for this new movie coming out called The Last Duel?
No.
You have not.
No, I haven't seen the trailer.
It's got Matt Damon and Kylo Ren.
Adam Driver.
Kylo Ren. Set in the medieval period. And
Ben Affleck, too.
And I don't know, I don't remember seeing Ben Affleck in the trailer, but I did see Matt Damon and Kylo Ren. And they were both using
Adam Driver.
And they were both using lightsaber. No, I'm just kidding. No, I don't know. It just looked cool because medieval times and swords and armor and stuff. But it's called The Last Duel.
They went to medieval times?
Yeah. Adam Driver and Matt Damon go to medieval times. They take over the show.
They're redoing...
Speaking of which, both my best friend and you have talked about wanting to go to medieval times.
Yeah.
And for those of you that have never been, you should go because it's cool.
There's
for those of you that have been, why do you keep going? Please explain it to me because it's the same thing every time. They just change who wins.
Yeah, but it's still just cool.
It's like $60 a ticket.
But it's still cool. I mean, it's like they also feed you and the food is good.
Dragon soup.
Yeah, it's good. The dragon soup is fucking delicious.
I wish they would have like an array
and the
of
fucking dessert, delicious.
I don't know what, isn't it like?
It's like an apple pie.
Gabagool.
It's fucking good.
It's fine.
But I mean, also there's like these like cool like souvenirs and shit like that you can buy. I mean, when you're a kid, it's more exciting. There's like wooden swords and wooden shields.
It's way more exciting as a kid.
I mean, I did get a sword the last time we went.
Yeah, you got knighted the last time we went.
Yeah, well, I did.
I don't know how much you paid for that. Or
I
if you
didn't
had to
pay
give
anything.
The king a reach around.
I didn't.
Okay. No,
Megan's sister paid for it. It was my birthday. She paid for it for me to get knighted
by the king.
Yeah, I got knighted, and I got that sword.
Yes,
it was fucking sweet.
It was pretty cool. Okay, fine. If you're gonna go and you get knighted, that's kind of cool. But beyond that, the show's the same, and I would just rather go to like a Renaissance fair. Or
Renaissance fair is also fun.
Or I've mentioned it before. I want a LARP. I want a LARP so badly. Anyways, The Last Duel.
Cool. Okay, we did it. We got to the fucking thing.
Sidetracked. Anyways,
it was gonna happen. It was bound to happen.
Did I ever tell you that
4 minutes in we did it?
Did I ever tell you that Troy, my best friend, when he went up to school in Platteville, he said that they used to have like this giant fair where like one of the days everyone would just show up with like foam swords and other weapons like that and just beat the shit out of each other in like a giant battle in like the park or something, wherever the fair was held. I don't know. It's just fun. It's just cool.
Anyway, I mean, yeah, I haven't seen the trailer yet, so I'll have to watch it to find out.
Oh yeah, The Last Duel.
But just based on the cast alone, Adam Driver, Matt Damon, and Ben Affleck, and I think it's gonna be directed by Ridley Scott.
Like Ridley's Believe It or Scott. I'm sorry.
Ridley's Believe It. No, this isn't that good.
God, no, I just don't. I just
Ridley Scott.
You said it, and then I thought of it, and
I'm pretty sure is the same director that directed Alien, the first one. Like
it is. No, I thought Ridley Scott was the name of the character.
No. Just look it up.
No, director Ridley Scott. You're right about that. I don't know about the alien thing.
Just look up Ridley Scott.
I just click on him. The magic of Google. Looks like an old man.
Yes.
People also ask, what is... No, I don't care about that. What is he known for? There we go. Let's click on that. Is Tony Scott dead? That's not what I wanted.
Or is James Cameron? No, I don't think James Cameron did.
No, Ripley. Ripley is her name, not Ridley. Ah, yes.
Did
Oh,
he do
okay.
Alien? Yes
The
or
Martian, Blade Runner. Oh, he did
no?
Gladiator.
Oh, he did Blade Runner.
That's my favorite movie. Uh, I don't see.
Would have been easier just to look up who did Alien.
Yeah, that'd be probably easier than going through all this stuff that I'm doing now. But either way, like,
Ridley Scott, I'm a fucking
Alien.
genius.
Alien movie. I just saw Alien Covenant.
Yeah, but it's right there.
Yeah.
Ridley Scott.
Yeah. I mean,
So I
he
was right.
probably directed a bunch
I'm
of stuff.
Schmutta.
Yeah, it's Ripley. Ripley's what I was thinking of.
Ellen Ripley. I have no idea.
I don't. I think Ripley is probably the last name. I don't know. I've only seen Alien like twice.
Anyway, that's who's directing it. So he's directed a bunch of bangers. Obviously, if you just saw he directed.
Do people call movie bangers? I thought it was just for
Gladiator.
music.
Nah, why not? Anyway, so yeah, just based off the cast and the director, like I'm down. And yet, like you said, I also like period movies, like medieval times and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm down to watch it.
It seems very, very cool. Yes, I am.
I wonder if it's gonna be like streaming or just.
I don't know. I know we mentioned a while ago that we wanted to do this thing where we like went to the movie theaters to like watch a movie
Yeah,
and then
we
kind
should
of
start doing that.
Like I want to, yeah, but then it also just feels like the comfort of like the home is better, and like HBO Max has just been putting out a bunch of like, I mean, Space Jam just came out, which I do kind of want to see. It's just not like, you know,
I heard it was really good.
We need to stop everything we're doing to watch it. We did finally watch Black Widow though, and that was awesome.
Yes.
And everybody on TikTok loves to spoil that.
And we watched Black Widow at home instead of going to the movie theater,
Exactly,
which we could
yeah.
have done.
So I mean, we could, almost technically say that we could give a review on that without trying to give away too many spoilers at some point.
I mean, well, without like getting into it too much, like what were people spoiling? Just like the Taskmaster thing?
No,
Like,
not
there-
necessarily.
what else
that,
could there
but
be
I don't
spoiled?
know. You could basically like if you're just showing somebody a scene from a movie that's just like spoilers. Like you're. Just
I mean,
showing
yeah,
them-
I guess, but it's not like it's not like some huge reveal. Like it's a movie about Black Widow, so it's a prequel. So it's like she's not gonna die in this movie. We already saw her die.
that is true. Yeah.
So it's just like it's just a cool movie.
Though that secret ending though, this one only had one instead of two like normal. But that secret ending, was pretty dope.
I already don't remember it.
I'm gonna say, so if you watched,
We'll have to talk about it offline because I already like don't remember it.
well, so I'll just say like make sure you watch if you haven't seen it, watch Captain Falcon.
Oh wait, no,
and the
no,
Winter
I
Soldier
remember it
first.
now. I remember it.
Make sure you watch that, then watch Black Widow and the secret ending. It'll like kind of be like, whoa, this is really cool. So,
Oh yeah, I remember now.
so yeah,
The
Last Duel, watch it whenever it comes out. I don't
Yeah.
have a release date.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Oh, it doesn't have a release date?
I said I don't know the
Oh,
release date.
I was going to say if there's a trailer, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything.
I mean, it probably does. I feel like
Yeah.
most movie trailers usually always get a release date.
All right, anyway, moving on. Well, you can go ahead and find that, but I'm going to do it this time. All right, we're going to go to our fan favorite segment called
October 15th.
Anime is an important part of our culture.
I did it.
That. It's October,
did it.
October 15th, 2021. That's when it's going out. Anyways, Junior, I feel like maybe you had something in particular you wanted to say since you wanted to do that.
No, I didn't.
You didn't? You just wanted to be the one
I
to
just
do
wanted to be the one to be fucking stupid.
it? What does that mean?
I said what I said.
I said...
No, I don't think I've watched any anime as of late.
As of late, because you've been stuck on some other thing.
Yeah.
One thing, if I haven't mentioned, I'll say it again. And I'll say it as many times as I need to say. If you haven't seen Mugen Train yet, it's on Funimation, guys. Watch it. It's awesome.
Is that it?
What? For like the segment or just in general? I just wanted to say that in
Yeah.
general. Well, I mean, I just want to make sure that people know that. We've been
As
getting,
an anime lover.
as an anime lover, I just want to make sure people know that. My Hero's been getting really good. What else could I say? Jujutsu Kaisen's getting a movie and season 2. I think.
I watched that all the way
Oh,
through.
you did. You did finally watch that. I watched almost all of it with you, and then missed the final 3 episodes, which are actually really cool. And I'm kind of upset that I missed them. But I wake up late because I probably not going to fall asleep for another 5 hours after we're done with this.
I also can't even remember. Did I start? I started another anime after that.
Did you?
Didn't I?
I don't know. Did we? I know we keep saying we're gonna do that, but then we don't.
I feel like you came down and I was watching something else, and you were like, "Oh, how were the last 3 episodes?" And I was like, "Good." And then I was watching something else.
Hadn't you already started watching Deadwood?
I honestly I don't know. I can't remember. All I know is that I watched the last 3 episodes by myself.
Yes, because we stayed up pretty late just trying to finish the anime. But yeah, there's that. Like I said, I've been saying it a little bit. They're supposed to be getting a movie, and the second season is supposed to be coming out. Demon Slayer season 2 should be hopefully out by the end of this year, from what we hear. I'm trying to think. Like I've seen random information, and if I was smarter and more hopeful for the podcast, I'd probably be writing down a lot of this stuff so I could remember to add it here instead of just rambling.
why I have
Instead
a
of just
notebook.
randomly jumbling
Or a
around when we come
phone.
to our segment. Sometimes I just wait for a lot of like new cool stuff to come out.
Yeah. So we're gonna be like we've talked about. We're gonna start hopefully watching some random anime, a couple episodes, and then either deciding to go all the way through and finish it, or just cut it off there, but then give a little review. But since we've got pretty much nothing else, segment over.
Yes.
All right, moving forward.
What have you been? Oh my!
What's wrong with you?
I don't know.
You need
I've got a
drink or
frog in my
something?
throat. Right, Kermie? Right, Kermie? Please stop drinking. No, what have you been watching? What have you been up to? Have you been playing anything?
No, I haven't picked up my sticks. I haven't picked up my sticks in a while.
Nurse, come in here. I need a witness. Billy is getting his ass whooped.
Pick up your sticks. Yeah, no, I haven't picked up my controller and played anything else. Biomutant. My PlayStation is still on rest mode, and I don't know how long it's been like that.
I wish someone would tell me if that's like bad to just leave it on rest mode, because I've definitely left my
I don't
PS5 on rest mode for like days.
Yeah, I've probably left mine for a week, if
Which
not
is funny
more.
because I feel like almost every game now has just like an autosave feature, so you don't really have to worry about it too much.
Yeah.
But every now and then I'm just like, I'll just put it in rest mode and I'll turn it off when I get to a save point.
Or like if you're in the middle of a mission or some shit.
Yeah,
Anyway, but I was playing Biomutant. I started to get a little bit further into it, so I'm just gonna like beat it, like I said. But no, I haven't played any of that. I watched just been watching a lot of TV, binging. I watched all 3 seasons of Deadwood in about 3.5 days, and then I watched the movie, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. And Timothy Oliphant is fucking awesome. So
he's in that Deadwood.
Yeah, he's the main character.
He's also the main character in that?
Yeah. Well, he's one of the main characters.
Oh, okay.
But
what year is that show from?
it's early, from like 2003 to like 2006, something like that. And then right after that, I decided to start watching Justified, which stars Timothy Oliphant. And now we're in the end of the 4th season, something like that. There's 6 seasons, but basically, But basically, I started that I think I started that like 3 or 4 days ago, and I've blown through fucking 3.5 seasons.
Yeah, a bunch of it.
And that has 6 seasons, so probably within the next 2 days or 3 days, I'll be done with that show.
What do you do then, Junior? What'll fill the void after that?
I've got some other things that I've like written down that I'm like, this might be a show where I want to watch all the way through. I don't know. For some reason, I just got into like Western, and I've been really itching to like re-download all 90 gigs of Red Dead Redemption 2
Just to play?
just to play. Like, I was like, I don't even really like want to play the story because I've already beaten the game. I just kind of want to like ride my horse and get into shootouts and play poker in the saloons and maybe fuck some whores. Just
Can
kidding.
you do that in Red Dead?
I don't even remember. But yeah, I don't know. I just kind of been like wanting to do that. But yeah, I think I've pretty much just been watching Timothy Oliphant. I think I have a crush. Timothy Oliphant.
Yeah.
Yeah. You heard it here first.
You heard it here first.
Timothy Oliphant, come on the show.
Come on.
What about you?
I did play some Smash last week with some friends. Brushed up on some skills. And like they had kind of like warned me that they were like super good. You know what? And I'm pretty sure I've mentioned this on the show before. If you edge guard, I hate you. Cut it out. Give me a chance. Don't be like that. But they're just
stop edging Tito.
yeah. Stop edging me. That's not fun. But they're also just good. Like one thing that was even possible in the original N64 games is like the kind of like the dodge. So if you throw up your shield, which number one we never really did. We didn't guard like ever in the original one. But if you throw up your shield and then move the joystick, you like kind of like dodge, and you can like pretty much phase through like an enemy that's trying to hit you or whatever. So I mean that's a obviously a big move that people use like playing professionally or even just guarding in general against certain attacks. But the friends I was playing with were definitely good at that, and I'm just more of the like I jump around a lot and wait for an opening and then I hit you. But I beat them a few times and I was a little proud of myself. Definitely some good fights going on. Shout out to my buddies Jeff and Jonah. But I played that. I don't think, again, same with you. I've been trying to get back into Biomutant. Keep saying I'm going to set aside time for that, and then I just don't play. But I did. I watched the Resident Evil show on Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty cool. Just kind of it definitely is after Resident Evil 4 because they talk about how Leon's already saved the president's daughter and she's in Resident Evil 4.
My Date with the President's Daughter.
Yeah, it was My Date with the President's Daughter. Eric Foreman comes out of retirement and starts killing zombies.
Eric Foreman.
I don't know why I said Eric Foreman. Eric Matthews. There it is. Eric Foreman. That 70s show and Boy Meets World had a crossover with Resident Evil, and that was this show. No, I'm just kidding.
That was the show.
Completely wild. No, it was cool. It's just a 4-episode, tiny little miniseries that they did. But it was pretty cool. I enjoyed it. There was this one scene where it pretty much infected like a bunch of rats and released them in a submarine, and that sounds terrifying. But that's like in the second or third episode. Spoiler alert. But,
I was about to say that, but you said it first.
Yeah. So I watched that, and then I binge watch the series finale, the final season of Atypical, which is a show I've really liked since season 1 about the life of a kid that's on the spectrum. So that was pretty cool. I feel like that was very like informative, and I don't know if the main character specifically did have it or obviously was just acting like he had it. Like, other actors have done other stuff, but they did get a lot of kids and adults that had that were on the spectrum to be on the show, and I thought that was really cool, giving them opportunities like that.
Okay, so what's the difference between that and Joker?
What do you mean?
You said you didn't like Joker because you felt like it was like some sort of political movie or something.
This was just like the life, the first season was basically, a kid who's on the spectrum. Like he goes to therapy,
right. I understand.
And then the basis was just like,
I understand what the show is about. It's about somebody who's like, who has autism.
It's their life.
I understand that. So how is that different from Joker? Joker is about a person that is dealing with mental health. I mean, obviously
I feel like anybody who's heard me talk about it on this show like knows exactly what the difference is, and I keep trying to tell you and then you just don't listen. I just didn't like the sprinkling of the Joker on it. That's it. It's just plain and simple for me. I didn't like how they sprinkled without Joker, like the DC Joker as an origin story. I thought the movie was like a kind of like great call to action. I thought it was a good movie for that. I didn't like the sprinkling of the Joker.
But
that's it.
I didn't think that it was a call to action movie. I just thought that it was a good movie about an origin story of Joker.
I don't know if I told you this, but Joey immediately texted me as he was listening to it, and he like agreed with me. He was just like, I do think you're right. And he's just like, it was kind of like a call to action. It's just like, when I say call to action, it's not immediately like, hey, get up in arms and start a mob. It's just like a call to action to paying attention.
I know what a call to action is.
Yeah. So
I'm not an idiot.
Well, then why don't you understand me when I just say like, that's what I didn't like. That's it. I just didn't like that.
Because you're just saying that basically because this was about Joker, that's what made you not like it.
Yes,
but
that's it.
You have no proof to substantiate that that this movie was not going to get made without it being about Joker.
I told you that that's what I had heard. We aren't here. Like, a lot of the stuff we talk about is opinion based. I didn't say,
Correct.
I didn't just like the green screen all of a sudden just turns into a PowerPoint. I'm like, well, actually, no, like I didn't have, I just said like, that's what I had heard. That's what I had heard. I thought I had read something about it or someone had told me and like sent me kind of a link.
So if
I
it's
think
not
it was
true,
a while ago.
Does that change it at all?
No, not really, because it's still kind of the same thing.
It's not the same thing. I would understand your point of view the other way if you were like, this movie was originally just going to be this. But then the studio was like, we're not making that movie. And then somebody was like, what if it's Joker? And then the studio's like, we're in. Fine, we'll do it. If it's about this person who goes through a psychotic break and eventually turns out that he's like Joker, like an early version of Joker or whatever. I'm like, okay, we're on board with that. But the fact that what's the difference between that and like movies that have actors playing people with mental health problems and other stuff, like Radio, like Atypical, like Joker.
Well, I don't know that. Well, again, I don't know what Joaquin Phoenix suffers from if he has any mental disorders.
I mean, he definitely has something.
Probably. I don't. What is it? Wasn't everyone like uncomfortable with like the speech he gave or something at the Oscars?
Yeah, I mean, he's just like a weird guy.
Yeah. So, like, Radio would be one of those where like now somebody might go and attack like that movie and be like, you know, Cuba Gooding Jr. shouldn't have done that role. I think there's another one. Oh,
I Am Sam.
I Am Sam is one. That movie's really sad. I like that movie though.
Again, Sean Penn doesn't have
Also,
any of that.
It's crazy to like. I saw that movie when I was younger, and then to see Sean Penn in like Gangster Squad, it's just like, Jesus Christ, this is not the same dude.
Mystic River.
Mystic River's great movie too.
Yeah.
That is a great movie. The Ringer, that movie probably catches a lot of flack too because
that's like a satire though.
Yeah, but that's Johnny Knoxville playing someone who isn't mentally challenged,
pretending.
Being.
I don't think. See, that's the thing. All that shit on TikTok where it's like, movies or TV scenes or blah 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 that would be canceled in 2021. The majority of the time are clips of things that it's like, this would not get canceled. The joke is, or the show is about, like, they show stuff from, like, It's Always Sunny. I'm like, the entire basis of the show is that these people are all pieces of shit.
Yeah, they're all awful.
It's not good people doing bad things. It's bad people doing bad things. That's the whole fucking joke. That's the point of the show. How would that get canceled? The show's still going on.
Yeah, I don't know.
Cancel culture is stupid to begin with.
That's a whole nother ballpark of like BS and randomness. But
like
become sidetracked of where we were originally.
Well, no, because it all kind of ties together. Because like people have been like, oh well, like those movies or those shows or whatever where actors are playing people with mental disorders or anything like that, like they shouldn't be doing that. Like that, it should be somebody who actually has it. And it's just like, again, not that can't happen, but some of these disorders or stuff, I'm sure probably can't actually be played by people who have some of this stuff. Like you have to be able to like get people to understand stuff, and some people can't differentiate fake from reality, and that might cause some sort of psychological trauma to these people.
You have someone like Heath Ledger who played the Joker. Well, you have people who are method actors, which I think like I don't know 100% if he was or not, but like
he said that he was not a method actor. Most of the stuff that was surrounded around that, like he used to like lock himself in a room and all that shit, ended up coming out to being bullshit.
But I thought that's what they had kind of said, that there was that thing where Jack Nicholson had told like Heath Ledger, like, hey, if you're gonna be playing the Joker, like just be careful. with how you take on the character and blah blah blah, all this stuff. Because they said like that was kind of like the reason that he ended up.
There's pictures of him on a fucking skateboard jumping over fucking Christian Bale's like Batman, like as the Joker. Like he wasn't
But
like
you heard-
in character.
But you heard that stuff though, right? How like because of
There was again all that ended up becoming bullshit. That people were like, he used to lock himself in a room in a dark room for 3 hours to like get himself into character and all that stuff. And it was like, when the camera was on, the shit was on. But when the camera was off, he wasn't still, I'm still Joker or whatever. Like they fucking said that Jared Leto stayed in character the whole fucking time.
yeah. Well, he sent the cast like a weird like
He was sending them all weird shit.
yeah.
And I think that sometimes I feel like some people are truly method actors, and then I think some people just say I'm a method actor just so they can do weird shit like that, like send dead mice, send used condoms, stuff like that, where you're like, what the fuck are you do? Like, what the fuck? How did this enhance your performance? And Jared Leto's Joker is fucking hated like universally. Like nobody has fucking said that his Joker was good. So I mean, it was his own take, and I'll give him that. But like this Joker was a fucking like meth head, fucking like actual like gangbanger or some shit, like face tattoos and all this shit.
I don't know about meth head, but
He looked like a fucking meth head to me.
I don't know about that. But I mean, yeah, he was essentially Joker. If Joker was like a gangster basically, and like lived the like
not a gangster, a gangsta, like not a gangster, a gang. When you think gangster, you think like mafia. That was not Jared Leto.
Oh, I don't know. It depends on how. Would you think? He was still, I feel like, somewhat organized crime though.
I don't know.
I don't know either. This is bad.
I don't know.
It
It was just bad.
But no, back to the original take. Like it wouldn't matter whether or not that was true or not of the movie. That's just something I didn't like.
Yeah, it
didn't do it for me.
Like, I mean, I haven't watched a single episode of Atypical. All I'm saying is that, like,
but
you
I
like a
really
show
like
about
that, show,
that,
yeah.
but you can't watch a 2-hour movie because you're like, I feel like they're
First of all,
getting political.
I have seen it.
Have seen what?
I have seen Joker.
No. I know that. I'm saying, like, you can watch this whole show, but, like, you can't. I'm saying you can't watch it like you're like, I've seen it once. I'd never have to see this movie again or whatever. And I'm like, you could sit through this 3 or 4 seasons of this show, which is way longer than 2 hours. But the 2-hour Joker movie, you're like, nah, fuck that shit.
But there's a difference to me between something being a call to action and something just being informative. This was just kind of like a somewhat funny / drama of like this kid who's on the spectrum's life. Because it doesn't just revolve around him, it also revolves around his family. Like spoiler alerts, like for the first season, but like his parents end up kind of separating for a while because of some shit the mom is doing that obviously has nothing to do with her son's life. It's her own thing. His sister goes through her own story as well, but it's just kind of centered around the main character's family. So
what was that other show? The Secret Life of whatever? Is that the one with all the deaf people?
No, you're talking about Switched at Birth.
Oh, okay.
Me and Mom started that show, and we liked it. I think at some point she just kind of got. I mean, it might have been around the time that one of us got busy doing something else, and then we weren't able to just binge as much. Like I think I watched maybe another season without her just because she got really busy, and then she might have just started working a bunch of overtime because it was probably before I started working at the DC in DeKalb, but.
Washington, D.C.?
You never know. Actually, I'm pretty sure we've said we're like Chicago-based-ish.
No, yeah, we have.
No, I think we've straight up said
we
the town
live
we
in
live
Illinois.
Yeah. But that one was all right. And again, that was one of the main characters was deaf. And then
but there was a lot of sign language and deaf and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I remember
yeah.
that.
Which I think sign language is cool. I don't know. I don't know if I could ever. I feel like sign language is just like any other language. It's just so much memorization that like my brain has no capacity for after learning and just shoving all this anime, video game, and movie knowledge. That's all I'm good for now.
That's because you stupid.
Yeah, probably.
But anyway, what else?
So yeah, I watched that. The Resident Evil thing, and then I mean I've been watching a bunch of Justified. I didn't sit down and watch any Deadwood episodes with you, but Justified kind of drew me in.
Yeah, but you like started I was halfway through the first season. Then we've watched like all the way up to a certain point together again till the like midway of third season.
I watched all of season 2 with you, and then I watched
halfway through season three.
and
So
then
you're
you
halfway.
finished- yeah.
You watched half of season 1, all of season 2, and half of season 3.
and then I've watched like however many episodes.
I think you came down at the last episode of season 3, and then all the way up to this point of season 4.
Yeah, and I don't know, it's been really cool.
Yeah.
FX had some really good shows. I mean, how many seasons does American Horror Story have? And I think
that's still going on.
Yeah. Did you ever finish The Strain? Because I know you like.
No,
that show
I
too.
like that show. I never finished it. No.
Nip Tuck had a buttload of seasons on that too. There was another one with Courtney Cox where she was like an investigative journalist, I think.
I don't know. So, but Sons of Anarchy was on there.
I always remember the music whenever we would watch like
And then there's
commercials.
The Mayans.
The Mayans is new. I haven't
Yeah.
watched any of that.
But it's a spin-off of Sons of Anarchy, right? Because the Mayans are in Sons of Anarchy.
I think it's supposed to be when the leader was younger, I think. I don't remember.
So it's like a prequel.
Maybe.
So it's like a spin-off prequel.
Maybe,
Well,
yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I haven't seen any of it.
There were also other charters, like for both the Suns and the Mayans, I'm pretty sure, like throughout the country. I mean, the Suns had a charter in Ireland.
Yeah.
So it might just be like a different charter. But that show was good. God, I can't think of it now. Do you remember
The Bastard Executioner. That only got one season. Writing that motherfucker down right now.
I feel like I watched the first episode with you and never watched anything else. But like Courtney Cox's show, she was always like dressed in this huge red dress, and then you would just hear the music. This time she's gone too far.
No, I don't remember
You don't
that.
remember
But
that?
The Bastard Executioner had singer who was also in Game of Thrones, Ed Sheeran.
Oh, I forgot Ed Sheeran was in that one episode.
Ed Sheeran was like, well, in the Bastard Executioner, he was like in the church. He was like a papist.
Yeah,
or
he
something
gets
like that.
murdered like in the first episode or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he also did the song for the show.
That's awesome.
And then the show, yeah. Well, do you have anything else?
Uh,
I hate when you do shit like that.
it's why. Does it come out weird on the audio?
Yeah, but also just like, why do you do shit like that?
I'm weird.
That's my mama.
That should just, instead of just coming up with different things, just every time you say I'm Junior, I'll just say I'm weird. Just like, let's get it out of the way, guys. I'm gonna do more weird shit throughout the episode, probably. But no, yeah, I think that's all I did. I haven't done anything else. I finally finished. Oh no, I did want to say, like, I finally finished essentially all the seasons on Dropout TV of all the D&D, besides the one that's ongoing right now. I haven't watched season 2 for Fantasy High or for The Unsleeping City, and part of me that probably just won't. I don't know. I think the Mice and Murder one that they did over Zoom calls was cool, but I feel like the Fantasy High one / The Unsleeping City season 2 is also just kind of.
Did you watch the other one with Matt Mercer? The pirate one, the Leviathan?
Oh, no, but I'm just probably not going to watch that one either. I don't know. Like, I don't want to say that I don't love the role-playing aspect, but I really love the whole, like, a role-playing episode set up into, like, the awesome, like, battles or situations.
So it's like you just care about seeing minis is what it seems
those
like.
some of the drawings are really awesome, too, that they do for the characters beforehand, like when they introduce themselves. Plus, I'm just a really big fan of like the OG cast that they usually have. That, and I finished the second compendium of Invincible. So
No
now
one cares about books.
we care about comics on this show. And don't you ever
Anyway.
say that books are nerdy as hell. So
Anyway.
you. Also, Berserker.
I also watched the. I started the second season of Home Before Dark, which is the Apple TV exclusive. Which I don't think we've ever talked about that, but Apple TV's got some pretty good shows.
Have we not talked about C before?
I don't know.
Because that show was awesome.
Yeah, that show was awesome, and the second season's coming out soon.
Was Home Before Dark
with Dave Bautista? Dave Bautista is playing his brother.
Oh, nice. Didn't I watch like 4 episodes with you and Megan? With Home Before Dark? Is that the one about the investigative journalist?
Yeah, it's a little girl. It's a little girl who's an investigative journalist or whatever. It's pretty cool. If you have Apple TV Plus, you should watch that show. It's really good. The first season is complete. The second season was still ongoing, but I think there was like 5 or 6 episodes, which we watched in one sitting, so we got all the way caught up. Mm-hmm. But yeah. So anyway, we were talking about Deadwood. Mm-hmm. And then I brought up the Bastard Executioner. And what do those two things shows have in common? That they both got canceled before they ended, Tito. That's what they fucking have in common. And man, is that fucking frustrating. So I put together a list of TV shows that got canceled before there was any sort of conclusive ending to them. So right off the bat, we're gonna go through the list and go through them. But right off the bat, right off the first one, that I think is like the number one that gets talked about the most. Like I've heard, that's the only reason I even know about this show, that I've heard about how people were just so pissed that it just got canceled. And that's Firefly with Nathan Fillion, I think, who was the main character, and it's a American space western.
Oh, it was an American space western.
Yeah,
so
which
it was
technically,
Cowboy Bebop?
Which technically that's what they say Star Wars is. They say Star Wars is a space western.
Who?
That's how it's been described. That Star Wars is a space western.
What?
I mean, just like take all the same elements of it and just put it on Earth, and like.
Yes, I definitely remember when the Rebel Alliance in the West blew up the Death Star.
Well, see, now you put the space element back out there. I said take the core of the story and bring it.
When did a Rebel Alliance in the West take on and like destroy a emperor who is trying to take over the West? I didn't say any space thing there, so go ahead and tell me how that's a Western.
Star Wars has been described as a space Western many times.
Okay,
yeah, I'm pretty sure even George Lucas has called it a space Western.
I said how.
So you're gonna debate the creator of it?
It's not debate. I just want a reasoning. That's why I'm saying how. If you could explain it to me, and like hit all these key points and be like, okay, now you've made your point.
All right, so let me ask you, what defines a Western?
You've got the Force and lightsabers, which have, as far as I'm concerned, have nothing to do with Western culture. If you want to say that Han Solo is a space cowboy, I could give you that one, but Han Solo is not even the main character.
Okay, and
so how does one character make a space Western?
I mean, I'll just look it up super quick. So just keep talking.
Well, Firefly didn't it also get a movie?
Yeah,
it did.
Yeah, so it did end up getting a movie, which kind of like tried to
wrap it up. And it was also a book first, which I think that's why a lot of people get bent out of shape. I mean, that's the same thing you could say with like the Percy Jackson movies. There's already a story out there, so once it comes to the big screen, they're just like, oh, okay, we've got this. And then the second movie came out years later, and then there's no more continuation of it, so people definitely get upset about that. And that's definitely true for shows, too. Even without a show necessarily having to be derived from a book, like if it's something that's good and people like, yeah, when it just gets canceled, it's kind of like, what the hell happened here? Which I'm also kind of curious to, like, it, obviously, if you bought like the box set of an entire show per se, like season one, like I'm assuming those proceeds, some of them, go back to, the whether it's the creators, producers, director, whatever of a show. But like, how do they make money going off of like a regular like TV channel? Is that just ads, like the ads that they pay for like the commercials?
Like, how did that is that how they make their money? Is that what you're
Yeah,
saying?
because essentially you would tend to think like if a bunch of people all watched a show and they were like, we love this show, why did it get canceled? Like when someone's like, well, it didn't make enough money. Well, like as far as I know,
the ratings or the views. It's all about views and ratings. So like,
even if so, basically, it's
that's
more
how
like
things become like cult classics.
it's more like saying like 10,
it's
10 people watched a show and loved it, but we needed 100 people to watch
Yes,
it. Okay.
yes.
All right. Okay. So it's not even that someone hated it; it's just that not enough people watched. Well, I guess that even though that's kind of silly to think, because yeah, that's another way that cult classics happen or end up making a bunch of money. You could look at, especially now, The Room, and how it's just basically the worst movie in the world, and so many people have watched it though, where it ended up becoming current again. So that's one way, yeah. Even bad movies, if you're gonna make a bad movie, make it very bad. Make it, even if it's not supposed to be a satire, make it so bad that it becomes a satire, and then you get paid. Have you found anything yet?
Yeah, so anyway, like there's stuff about like you were saying Han Solo. You're also forgetting about like Boba Fett is a bounty hunter, which is originally something that was started in the West. So there's that aspect to it. Most of the time they're on desert planets, which is all like Western stuff. I mean, like literally the shootout between Greedo and Han Solo.
That's in one movie. One movie.
Yeah.
That doesn't, like, one movie, part of a trilogy, or just part of like the entirety of the show, does not make a space western. Like everything that's come out of it, I don't view it as being a space western. If you're just gonna say,
I mean, literally, The Mandalorian is a space western.
I could give you that one. That one I could give you because it is completely thrown around, or revolved around, not Boba Fett, the
Mando.
Mandalorian, yeah, Mando, being a bounty hunter and how he goes after his bounties and stuff like that, and he even kind of like acts like a cowboy. I mean, even what's his face, the comedian that ends up showing up, like
Bill Burr.
Yeah, Bill Burr. Well, also Bill Burr just kind of has like a little bit of a southern accent, but still, like, yeah.
No, he doesn't. He's from Boston.
Oh, that's what it's a Boston accent. I get my accents mixed up. So that one I could give you, but not the entirety of it.
I mean, there's just a big bad. Like it's a bunch of people taking on a big bad. That happens in westerns. Here's the thing, you can't be, even me, and I'll completely say this. Even I'm not well versed in an assload of westerns, and you're not either. You've seen a handful, if that. And you've never seen any probably original westerns. You've seen only new westerns. The Magnificent Seven is a remake of The Magnificent Seven, which was made a long time ago.
I mean, but I'm pretty sure they kept to the core of it. The plot probably stayed the same. They just probably made it like cooler.
Right, but even that the Magnificent Seven isn't even based on, the Magnificent Seven is based off of a Japanese film.
Yes.
Seven Samurai.
Yeah.
So that's what they based that off of. But anyway,
Which also got a remake.
I'm not sure if that's true.
Yeah, it did. I think you and Dad were watching it, and I came in at the end of it.
No, me and Dad watched a movie called The 13 Assassins.
Oh, that's right.
And that's different.
That one's different. Yeah.
And I've seen that movie twice.
You've seen it twice?
Yeah, that movie's awesome.
Okay, cool. Watch 13 Assassins, guys.
It's all in Japanese, but it's fucking sweet.
Did you have to pause it a lot to read?
No, because there's not a shitload of dialogue.
Oh, okay, perfect.
This is a lot of fighting. So anyway, Firefly, first one. Futurama was canceled.
It was?
Yeah. It was canceled after 4 seasons, but then it came back. Because now it's like continued.
So then wouldn't that not be on the list then? I thought you were just looking for shows that were
Sure,
canceled.
why not? Because it got canceled. I don't know if it got canceled for a year, 2 years, 3 years, and then it came back. We were never really big Futurama people.
Futurama, again.
I watched a few episodes, but I was never a big fan.
Futurama is the same to me as like The Big Bang Theory is. The show is funny and I enjoy the show, but I didn't avidly binge watch every single episode.
Well, it's not like it follows a story. Each episode is just, it's a standalone thing.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like, that's why the even shows like The Big Bang or like How I Met Your Mother, most of the episodes usually are kind of standalones, but there's like undertones that kind of lead into like a bigger part of like the story in those ones too.
I mean, like each episode has things that lead into, you have to watch each episode. You can't just, like, you can sit down and watch just an episode because it'll be funny. But whatever's in there that's progressing the story, you won't understand.
Yeah. So, so again, like this, yeah, I did not know that Futurama.
But Futurama's not like that. Futurama's just a show that's funny.
I didn't know that it had ever gotten canceled. I thought it was like
Family Guy is the next one. That got canceled twice.
Yes, I think I did know that, but it's come back both times though.
Yeah. Well, obviously, it's still going on right now.
Did it change channels or no?
No, it's still on Fox.
Okay.
I don't know. The thing is, I think what happened is it was on the air and it got canceled, but then the reruns were still playing and there was the high viewership on the reruns. So then Fox gave it another chance and they moved them to a different time slot, and then they got canceled again, but then they got brought back a third time because people really, really loved the show, and now it's just stuck.
If anything, you should have picked the Cleveland Brown show. That straight up just got canceled, and Cleveland's back on Family Guy with his new family.
Yeah.
My name is Cleveland.
But I feel like these.
Didn't you binge watch all of that?
Yeah, but like some of these shows are shows that like they don't need, like, how do you end a Family Guy? How do you end a Simpsons? Like.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Because there's always more stuff to kind of like make fun of.
Yeah, they
especially
just
with
make
the
fun
passage
of
time.
shit.
I mean, first of all, Family Guy makes so much 80s and 90s humor, so it's just like they have plenty of stuff to still like work with.
And
too.
I think The Simpsons, after like 10 seasons or something, kind of like restarted.
Yeah, I was watching a show, or the show that we've talked about, and then we did our own version of a game show on our podcast. I think they did a Simpsons episode, I think, or at the very least they've done a few questions of the Simpsons, and someone explained how there is a point where eventually basically the Simpsons universe got restarted.
Right. So yeah, like things that you're like, isn't that character dead? And then they're like, no, the series got restarted.
Is that canon?
So they just kind of decided so yeah, I don't know. But anyway, next one, Freaks and Geeks. That was only one season, and I think I only watched a handful of episodes.
And that was like a start for a bunch of famous people.
Yeah, James Franco, Seth Rogen, Jason Segel, Linda Cardellini, I can't remember. She's the one. She's the one that plays Velma in the live action Scooby-Doo movies with Freddie Prinze Jr. and Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Your mommy.
And Mitch from Waiting.
Isn't Paul Rudd also in Freaks and Geeks?
I don't know.
I thought he was. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, there was a bunch of them. And that was just like a high school show.
Did you say Mitch from Waiting?
Yeah.
Isn't that the new guy that starts?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
And he's like a kid in that. Like really young. Arrested Development. That made it to like 2 or 3 seasons, then got canceled for a while. Then when the show got picked up by Netflix decided to continue the show, and then they did like season 4 and 5, which just were fucking absolute garbage.
You watched all of it?
No, I stopped. I
you
watched the
stopped.
first 3 seasons, which were really funny, and then I started the 4th season, and then I was like, "What the fuck is this?" And I stopped watching
Did
it.
they not have like the same writers or?
No, I just think that when they restarted it, the show kind of lost its footing. Like they didn't really know what the fuck they were doing anymore. And then everybody, like a lot of people in the cast were like at this point now doing different things. So it was like everybody was getting their own arc. Like they weren't together as a family to the point where I listened to the Smart List podcast, which has Will Arnett and Jason Bateman on there, and they were both on Arrested Development, and they talked about how the sister on the show, who's played by Portia de Rossi, was doing other stuff and she couldn't do the show, and she was filming in front of green screen, and they would just kind of put her in scenes, and you were like, what the like you could tell that she was like not
there.
actually there.
Oh man, that's weird.
So it was just like shit like that. And like in the show, at one point she's like on a spiritual thing, and she like goes to like India or another country. So it's like she's not doing her own thing. She's not even like part of the central story anymore. But because they like aren't gonna like kill her off or just be like she's not in the show anymore, it was just like she was doing her own fucking thing. So yeah, this show just totally fell apart or whatever. So yeah, the 4th and 5th season was just fucking garbage. But the first 3 seasons were really funny. Plus there's like a huge time jump. Like Michael Cera's character is like 15, 16 years old in like the first seasons. And then by season 4 and 5, when they like started doing it again, like 6, 7 years later or whatever, like he's now like in college, and like, you know, you can just tell he's like way older. So you're like, what the fuck happened during all that time or whatever? I don't know. Yeah. Agent Carter. I haven't really watched like any of the Marvel shows, but like that was one of the one that wasn't on Netflix. Same with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And I don't know if Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is still going on or if that show finally ended, but like that one I think actually got an ending. I think Agent Carter only got 1 or 2 seasons, and then that show got canceled.
I never watched it. Though
I've heard that that's
things.
like one of the best ones that they had.
Yeah, I heard Agent Carter was good, but I never watched it. Yeah.
I think that's part of the reason is maybe they were like, this show's really good, but it's not centralized around
Like what's going on.
Yeah.
Like that was a cool thing that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. did do, is like especially around like when the movies were coming out and the show's ongoing, like there was stuff that tied immediately into the MCU. So that was actually kind of really cool.
Yeah, I mean, even being able to say Iron Man or Captain America, even being able to name drop makes it cool. And in Agent Carter there was none of that. The only one that could get name dropped was Steve Rogers. And if it takes place after the events of the movie, there's no one to name drop because he's essentially believed to be dead.
Mm-hmm. And Ghost Riders and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So I mean, it was cool.
So yeah, there's that one. One that is another one. I would say this one is probably the second most talked about one after Firefly is Heroes.
I like that show. And I watched it.
Never watched it either.
I watched it way after it had already been canceled. It got bad though.
Did they try to reboot that one too? Give it an extra final season?
I don't
or
remember
like
if
that?
they tried rebooting it. I didn't research into it, but it was just like it got bad. The kind of like the original plot to the first few seasons I thought was really good. Everything that was going on, what they were trying to do was cool. And then it got, I don't know, the more or less kind of like the main character ended up like, I think his power ended up being something happened with it and it got on the fritz, and then it just got weird and it wasn't as good as like
I feel
it
like
used to be.
Sometimes what happens is people have a really good idea and then they try to flesh it out longer than they can, and then they're like, we should have ended this after 2 seasons.
Well, it's like you said, and you said before, and it's never been that I disagree with you, but yeah, like if you have like start and a finish, and you've got all this stuff in between, like yeah, just bring it to like a good wholesome ending where you can kind of answer all your questions and still be done with it, instead of just like, well, so many people love this show, let's try to make it longer, let's convolute it and all this other stuff, and then at a certain point, like you're just gonna lose viewers.
What was it? The thing was like save the cheerleader, save the world, right? Like
that's
that was the
right.
thing.
That's like right away, season like 1.
Right. So like if they save her from the bad guy of season 1 or season 2 or whatever, and they get him, then they're like, all right, what are we doing for season 3? And then they're like, I don't know, let's make up another bad guy who's still trying to kill the cheerleader. And then you're like, all right, so this show's just going to be a revolving door of bad guys who are just continuously going to keep trying to fucking get this girl so they can destroy the world.
And
Which
it's Hayden,
always just...
Hayden
Yeah. Yeah. Which, that's the other thing, like, that's part of the thing that I can't understand about supervillains. Like, what's your end game? Some of the ones that are like, I just want to like rob and get rich or whatever. Like, all right, I understand that. What's your end game when you're like, if I do this, the whole world will destroy and like you will also die. Do you understand that?
That I did kind of like. That was like a cool take when they did the movie Megamind, where Will Ferrell's character Megamind like wins and like ends up I mean, it happens fairly early in the movie where he just kind of like takes over the.
Brad Pitt's character like pretends to
die.
Die.
This movie's old, guys. Spoiler alert, though. But
I mean, it's a kids movie also.
Yeah, Metro. He takes over Metro City, yeah, and then it's just he gets bored. He's like, "What am I supposed to do now?" So, yeah, you're right. So, I mean, I don't know. There's certain with villains that just want to rule over something. I mean, who's to say if they will get bored or if that's truly their end game, or maybe they just get some sick kicks off getting their ass beat and trying over and over again. I don't know.
All right. Anyway, next one. This one I actually did watch. Terra Nova, another Fox show.
I remember
the first season. Only one season, and then it got canceled.
Good.
No, I liked it. I watched the whole way through. The thing was, it's just like I don't need more of the same shit. So, like, I like when you're trying to push the envelope, you're trying to do innovative, you're trying to do different stories. The whole point of that show was the world is overcrowded and we've basically destroyed the world because humans are pieces of fucking filth garbage and we don't care about our environment. And it basically became
this
like...
podcast is now a call to action.
Yeah. And it was basically like... You remember the movie 2012 where like you had to buy a ticket to get on that huge fucking boat because the world was going to fucking implode and everybody was going to live on this huge fucking boat?
I forgot about that movie.
With John Cusack.
Yeah.
So it was basically that. The first episode was like the world's getting destroyed and if you could afford to get a ticket or if you had a job that was like important to what was needed to not redo this, then you were getting a spot in this new world. And it was basically, we had discovered time travel.
What?
And yeah.
That's what it was? I could have sworn it was like basically a Stargate to a different planet.
No, it was time travel. They were traveling back to the early Earth when there was still dinosaurs and shit around. But
they brought a bunch of future tech with them.
Yes, they brought guns and all that shit. They brought all of that so that we could take care of the dinosaurs and all that kind of shit. We could protect ourselves. Mm-hmm. But the whole point was that we were restarting on Earth, and so that we weren't going to take the Earth to what they had done to it. And obviously there was like the nefarious plot that was going on.
I mean, could you imagine? I feel like you imagine like if we came up with like a different way to power cars, and it just seems like someone just figures it out and they're like, wow, we could have been doing this the whole time instead of polluting the air with like fossil fuels. Like, yeah, I feel like it'd be a fine idea to kind of go back and then do that instead. But I didn't remember it that way. I could have sworn it was they had just found a different planet.
No, the wife was a scientist. And then the main character was a police officer, so he goes back and he kind of joins like the security force police officer.
Yeah, but
shit.
he sneaks into the portal. I'm pretty sure he's not supposed to be going.
No, he's supposed to be going. I think that there's other shit that ends up. There's, like I said, there's a bunch of shit that happens. There's like murders that happen, and there's like a nefarious plot or whatever. But yeah, the show ended up getting canceled. Yeah. And you'll see there's a trend with Fox, especially. Deadwood, which I talked about, got 3 seasons. I had originally started watching that back in 2012, and by that point it was already over as well. Because this show's from like the early 2000s. It was on HBO. It was fucking awesome. Yeah. The 3rd season ends in this huge cliffhanger about like this huge war that like was essentially going to break out between the people of the town of Deadwood and this huge magnate man who had come into town and had basically like hired the Pinkertons to like do his fucking bidding. And this like kind of big character in the show gets murdered, and they like take somebody takes a shot at the bad guy, and it ends with the bad guy asking for the person that shot him to get turned over to him or killed, and they kill somebody else instead in her place to fool him, and the guy falls for it, and that's how the 3rd season ends. And then there was a movie that was made in 2019 that I watched after I finished watching Deadwood, which kind of tied it all up, but it was like a reunion movie. It was like 10 years had passed, and everyone was much older, but it was like, it was just like, it was just like, what the fuck? All of a sudden, it's just 10 years later that the bad guy had now become like a senator, and there's like a parade for him or whatever, and then the person who had actually shot him ends up fucking like kind of confronting him and being like, yeah, it was fucking me or whatever. And then he's like, he's like, oh, you guys fucking tricked me. Well, I want her fucking dead. And then he gets fucking arrested and all this other shit. Timothy Oliphant's in that show.
Yeah, you mentioned that earlier.
Yeah. And yeah, it was just a really good show, and it shouldn't have gotten canceled. I think it was just, it got to where it was too expensive to make the show for it to like really continue, is kind of what ended up happening.
Yeah, and then we get Game of Thrones, which like,
well,
how
again,
much money were
this
they
is
spending
like
on
early HBO though. I mean, I don't know when HBO like first started, but like we're talking about early 2000s HBO compared to like what HBO is now. So yeah, yes, and Game of Thrones. I mean, Game of Thrones didn't start that way. It wasn't until it got super, super popular that the final seasons were like, all right, each of these episodes is like $5 million or $11 million that you can do per episode. But I maybe just, and again, it got more readily available. You got to think in 2005,
yeah, technology
or whatever,
was not the same that it is now. But at the same time,
no, it's not just that.
You didn't need
streaming service. In 2005, you had to pay for the channel HBO to watch it. Now you can just pay for HBO, like Go or HBO Max now, and you can just get all of that shit. Before you had to like specifically pay for that channel to get it.
I mean, isn't it the same thing? Why is it different? I feel like if anything, HBO probably used to be more expensive than it is now.
So you just helped me prove my point. It was more expensive then than it is now. Besides, before you had to have a fucking cable package to get HBO. You can just pay for HBO by itself. That's my point.
Yeah, but I mean,
I could just not pay for Netflix.
Everyone had cable back then. Yeah.
Yeah, but I can just not pay for Netflix, not pay for Hulu, and only pay for HBO, and it's what, $15? That's not the same as I pay $70 for this, and the HBO package. Well, is another $15 additional to it a month or whatever, and now I'm paying $85. So it wasn't worth it. Not everybody was paying for HBO at the time. Think about it. Even though now people go like, "Oh, I pay the same shit." Yeah, it's like, yeah, but you have Hulu, you have Netflix, and you have HBO, and all three of those added together is like 45 or $50 or whatever the fuck.
Depending on like
Yeah,
what
it's like,
version of it
it's
you
not
have.
necessarily the same as cable. And the cable was like, I'm paying for cable and I have to pay for HBO on top of that.
Yeah.
So not everybody was paying for HBO. So yeah, that show got canceled and then got the movie. I liked the movie. It was fine. I liked that they kind of ended it for me, but I just hated that it was just like, I mean, obviously they had aged the show. They had aged from 2006 or whatever
But
to
they also
2019.
explained that though. It's not like
Oh,
they
it just said 10
randomly-
years later.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
like, it would have been stupid for them to give me a movie that tried it for it to be like it had just picked up right away.
Well, but I mean, you have your makeup artist slash. I mean, they did that for Robert De Niro in the last
yeah.
movies, and they aged him down, and they had to do that with Joe Pesci too.
yeah,
So in 2019 they had the technology for it, so they could have.
but still, they can't do. I don't know. Anyway, I like the movie. They tied it up. It took them 13 years before they could tie it all up in a good little bow. But yeah, it was still good. Next, there's a show called Camelot that only got one season that I watched a long time ago, and I thought it was cool. It was about a super young King Arthur, like a teenage King Arthur, and it like he's like warring with his sister Morgana for like control of Camelot, and there was kind of like it like ended well, but there was a cliffhanger. Like at the end, kind of like Arthur gets control of Camelot from his sister, but then it's like I don't know if his like sister gets released or somebody's like don't worry, I got your back on this. Where there's like oh, there's something bad's gonna happen, and then the show just it never got renewed. So it's just like oh, that sucks. But I liked the first season. Veronica Mars with Kristen Bell. I think that show got canceled and then got rebooted like years later. And I think there was even a movie. But I think she's like a photographer or a...
I think the same thing. She's kind of like an investigative journalist.
Yeah, something like that. But she's like solving crimes or solving a murder or
Well,
something.
that's usually what investigative journalist shows are about. Like, whether it's solving a murder, it's usually a crime. Usually big stories end up being like crimes or finding something out like
But
that.
yeah, I think that show got canceled. I don't know about after like how many seasons it got canceled, but I think it got canceled and then it got brought back.
Honestly, the only difference between like an investigative journalist and a detective is like, besides the fact that most of the time investigative journalists are breaking the law, trying to figure out like that. They care about like the truth and, just putting the story out there for because they believe everyone deserves it. While, a detective is just trying to put away, like, it's like, yo, as long as this bad guy goes away, like, whatever.
Yeah. Darkwing Duck.
Hey. I'll be right back, guys.
All right, so there's Darkwing Duck, which is a Disney show, like from the early '90s. I think from like from '91. That actually on DuckTales they make a reference to how there was a huge cliffhanger and then the show ended. Now I haven't watched Darkwing Duck all the way through to see if that's actually true. If the way that and I'm referencing the new DuckTales, not the original DuckTales, but the new DuckTales referenced that the Darkwing Duck show had ended in a cliffhanger, and then you never found out anything past that. However, I do think that Disney Plus is working on a reboot of Darkwing Duck, which they've already rebooted DuckTales, and I think they're now also doing possibly a Tailspin reboot and a Chip and Dale show too. So we'll have to see what goes on with that. Gargoyles is another Disney show that I and my brothers used to love to watch when we were kids. By the time we were watching it, I think we were already watching reruns. But I think that show also got canceled. Although there was a lot of episodes, and I am like currently watching that, and I'm like, and there's only 3 seasons, but like the second season's like 50 episodes, and I'm on like episode 30. So I don't know if it's gonna end in some sort of cliffhanger or something, but yeah, that's just a really good show. And I had a lot of the toys, and I have like all the Funko Pops of those, but maybe they'll reboot that one too. Who knows? Reba, another show that just got canceled. That was just kind of like a funny sitcom. I wouldn't necessarily say that it was anything that like needed some sort of like conclusion or anything like that, but it was just really funny, starring Reba McEntire and the country singer and just like other actors. Actually, her like son-in-law in that show is the same guy who plays like the neighbor in that show Shameless. He's in that. A show that I watched, actually I'd never heard of it, but I watched the entire series when I was in Afghanistan. Is a show called Farscape, which is another like space show. And I think that it ended, or maybe it got canceled because I can't remember. I watched a show like 8 years ago, but when that show ended, it did. I kind of do remember it kind of having like a cliffhanger or something like that. But there's a movie that kind of did the same thing, kind of just like gave you a quick little like, here's a bow for you to just not be like, what was supposed to happen that never got to happen. There ended up being like a little bow that tied it all up. But that show was good. Don't Trust the Bitch in Apartment 23. I think that got 1 or 2 seasons. But that, I can't remember. Ritter, is it Kristen Ritter or something like that? I can't remember. But she played Jessica Jones on the show Jessica Jones, a Marvel show that was on Netflix. But the show like it was like also like a sitcom. It like revolved around her being the neighbor of the main character girl who was just like a goody, and her neighbor, the bitch in Apartment 23, was always getting her into like shenanigans and like all this shit. And also James Vanderbeek is in that show, and he might be in that show as James Vanderbeek if I'm not mistaken, which is just kind of funny. Alcatraz was also a show that was on Fox that I think Tito and myself and my mom watched that show. I think it also only got 1 season. The whole premise of that show was there was like a bunch of prisoners that went missing and prison guards that went missing in Alcatraz, and they were showing up in like present modern America. And it was just like they were just coming back, and there was like they were trying to figure out what had happened at Alcatraz. They ended up finding like there was like some secret lab or something that was under the prison and all this shit. I don't know. It was
I watched that show.
It was kind of like a science fiction-y type of show, but yeah, it got canceled on.
It was essentially like, I'm pretty sure what ended up happening was some form of like time travel. And like the end of season 1 was they find like a doctor, and then you just hear him go, it worked. But yeah, no, it was, what was it? The big dude from Hawaii Five-0.
Yeah, he was also on Lost.
Yeah, he was also on Lost. He's one of the main characters because he studied up on the disappearance of Alcatraz and knew about all of the incarcerated felons that were basically kind of released into the world, which is like every episode is just them.
And there was also some guards too.
Yeah,
there was like 1 or 2 guard episodes.
Yeah.
Constantine. I didn't ever watch that.
I
but
didn't watch it either.
There was only one season of that, but then he got pulled into DC Legends.
Yes, for a few episodes, I think. Yeah.
So that show got canceled. Sense8. I didn't watch that, but you did.
I love Sense8 so much.
How many seasons did that get?
That got it got 2 seasons, and then it had like a I think each episode's about like 45 minutes, and then I think for like between season 1 and season 2 there was like an hour and a half special, I think, that also came out, but they ended up saying that was just kind of part of season 2 or like the beginning of it. But that show is awesome.
But then it got canceled.
Canceled. There were rumors that they were going to make a movie to kind of wrap everything up, but as far as I know, it never came through.
What was that about? It was like 8 people that were all like linked.
Yeah, the premise was basically cool. Yeah, there was 8 people that were all, I guess psychically linked is kind of technically the factual for saying, but essentially it was just like if one of the people, and they were called clusters. So if somebody in my cluster was living in Japan and they knew, like a martial arts style, like I could tap into their knowledge and use it here. Vice versa with like languages and anything that they knew. And it was also kind of like, it always kind of seemed like it was cool how the show did it, that like somebody else was controlling the body and they would just be like, here, let me take over right here. And then you would just see that character now doing something. And obviously that character wasn't there. They were in a different country because I think all but 2 people just aren't in the same country. 2 of them are in America, of like the main cluster. It's like 2 in America, 1 in Iceland, 1 in Germany, 1 in India, 1 in South Korea, 1 in Mexico, and 1 in Africa, somewhere in Africa. I can't remember what country.
But what, like, there was people that were coming after them.
So yeah, what essentially
there was like, otherwise it was just like, what?
So
this guy's trying to make fried rice, and the guy in South Korea is like, let me take over because you're fucking this up.
So I mean, obviously the beginning of the show is them just kind of all figuring out that they're part of this cluster. Then you start finding out more information about what a cluster is or what a sense it is, and essentially the villains of the show are like after them because, you know, these people essentially it kind of makes you like almost like a super powered like person to have like these abilities. And they were the villain essentially was able to essentially just lobotomize them and then was able to kind of like control their body. So it basically ended up being like mindless zombie soldiers to kind of take out whatever.
So they just wanted like super soldiers, kind of.
Well, at that point it's not even a super soldier because it's just the one body, because they didn't always survive the lobotomy, but it would be like they would take over that body and then they would just do something, and then what the villain would do would be like kill himself, but like in that other body that he took over. So it was just like, yeah, they did this, and then they shot themselves.
So they would do like, it was basically he would like send them on suicide missions.
Yeah,
or whatever.
essentially, yeah.
Okay.
But I don't know. It was a great show. I loved it.
There was another show is Witches of East End, which I don't remember if it got 1 or 2 seasons, but I watched that also. And that was just about like these 3 sister witches, or it was 2 sisters and a mother. I can't remember.
I don't know anything about that show.
But it was just like a show about these like sisters. I think it was 2 sisters, their mom, and their aunt. So I think it was maybe 4 altogether. And it was just like them trying to hide the fact that they were witches and had like magic powers and shit like that. One of them, and there was like people that were like coming after them, or possibly other witches. I can't remember. I watched the show a long time ago. One of the sisters, the younger ones, was the ex-wife of Channing Tatum. The one, she was like a dancer.
Yeah.
I can't remember what her name is, but
I didn't know she was also like an No, wait. Well, she
Yeah,
is an
she's
actress
been
because
in a
they
few
met
stuff,
on
yeah.
Step Up.
Yeah. So there was that. Sleepy Hollow, another show from Fox. Like I said, Fox is fucking on this a lot. Fox has this thing about just fucking canceling shows. But we watched that one also.
We did, and it was kind of cool.
Yeah, I think we watched the entire first season, and that one might have gotten like 2 or 3 seasons, and then I stopped watching it.
Yeah.
The first season was cool, but that was like there was the Headless Horseman, but then there was all these other monsters that were also being like brought up from like old.
It was basically
fairy
a lot.
tales and
Yeah, it was
folktales.
basically folk tales. It was a bunch of
Yeah.
folk tales that ended up being true,
Yeah.
and then there was like people dying from them, and then Ichabod Crane and then a cop were working together to stop all this.
And he had gotten brought, like he was from the past, right?
Yeah.
And so like he also got like revived and was like, I'm trying to help you, and he was helping a female cop.
Katrina was like some type of like witch or something who was trapped somewhere. I don't know, something like that.
Yeah. Prison Break. That's a show that I watched all the way through. I think it was like 4 or 5 seasons, but I think it like kind of ended, but it kind of was like one of those like you got like a semi decent ending, and I think there ended up being a movie, or maybe it was just I think it was like a movie, which kind of gave you a way better wrap up, and then you were like, all right, cool, I'm satisfied with that.
So basically, just Deadwooded it.
Not really, because like Deadwood literally left it where like there's a next season coming,
and then didn't get it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Here's another Timothy Olyphant thing that got canceled. Santa Clarita Diet.
That one sucks that they did that.
Yeah, that show, so funny. Timothy Olyphant and Drew Barrymore, among other people. The waitress from It's Always Sunny.
Oh yeah, is also in that.
Yeah. The whole premise of that show, if you haven't seen it, I mean, it's like really funny. You should just watch it on Netflix. But
you're like the queen of a spank bank. Mom, please.
The whole thing is Drew Barrymore and her husband, Timothy Olyphant, are both real estate agents, and they work as a team. And Drew Barrymore gets bit and turned into
No, she doesn't get bit. It's clams.
Oh.
She eats clams that turn her into a zombie.
Yeah, you're right. And now she has to
consume flesh.
So like she's like a smart zombie. She's aware that she's a zombie, but she's not like brain dead and like only trying to kill people.
Well, she ends up.
And they're trying to keep it all a secret.
She gets a degradation cure. I don't know if that's the word. She's like not decomposing, or maybe it is. It's
she
like
is decomposing. She like loses her pinky.
Yeah, it's like some version of decomposing, and she's supposed to become more feral till she like inevitably becomes just a pure zombie and loses all of her like kind of like intelligent brain functions. But she gets a cure for that. And then, it's just...
So it keeps her at the level that she is, which is like a smart zombie and being able to function. And they end up like deciding that they're only going to kill bad people like murderers and neo-Nazis and shit like that.
Yeah.
While trying to keep it all under wraps. And like their next door neighbor is a fucking cop. So they have to like trying to keep it from him. Nathan Fillion's in that show for a little bit.
Yeah.
It's super funny. Like, it's a little gross, but it's a really, really funny show. Just like the amount of sarcasm and all this stuff. Timothy Olyphant, again,
hilarious.
I have a crush on him. He's so fucking funny. Another show that I watched when I was overseas was the show called The Unit, which is about like this secret military unit, which was like made up of like 4 guys who were all super badass. And the leader was the Allstate guy. That's Allstate Stan. Are you in good hands? He was the leader of the unit, and the show's called The Unit. But it was almost like they went on these like crazy missions. It was like they were like Delta Force or like fucking Special Forces, but like they also dealt with like terrorist plots like back in the US and all this other shit. It was like a cool like action show. I think that got like 2 or 3 seasons and then it got canceled, but it was pretty good. Southland is probably the one that I'm most upset about.
Did you know it was canceled when you started it and
I
still kept
didn't.
watching it?
I
Oh.
didn't. I watched it all the way through, and then that huge cliffhanger at like I think it was like I think that one's like 3 to 5 seasons. I can't remember if it's like 3 seasons or 5 seasons or maybe 4. In between 3 and 5.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a huge cliffhanger at the end, and then I was like, oh my god, the show got canceled. And I was just like, fuck, what the fuck, dude? I didn't know that it was canceled. So good. It's about like cops in southern LA, in Los Angeles, and yeah, it's just like this guy who he starts as a rookie in like the first season, and he gets like all the way up to like the fourth, like I said, fourth or fifth season, and there's just like a whole bunch of shit that happens in between. Really good cop drama. Lot of like bigger names in it. The guy who plays Abraham in The Walking Dead, he's in it. The guy who plays Commissioner Gordon, the young version in from the show Gotham, he's like one of the main characters. He's the
I thought he
rookie
was
cop.
the main character.
Well, there's like a few of them.
Oh, okay.
Then there's like another cop, and Regina King. She's in that show as well. She's one of the detectives. It was a good show, but yeah, it got canceled. That sucks. You and I watched the show together, and I can't remember.
And it was awesome.
I can't remember if it just got canceled. The
Yes.
following.
Yes, it did get canceled.
It just got canceled, right?
Yes, because like Kevin Bacon does a phenomenal.
That show's
performance.
fucking awesome.
Does like even though it got canceled, like I still feel like you could completely watch it and be satisfied with what you watch all 3 seasons. So good. Because essentially what he ended up saying, or what the end of the show basically kind of left open for what like the next season was supposed to be, was I mean, for lack of a better thing to really say, like what is it? Anyone says like from any one point in time, there's like X amount of serial killers just going on or that exist in the U.S. and essentially he was kind of part of like putting like some of those people away, and what he ends up stumbling upon is, you know, wealthy, rich people, like the elite. And I think somebody ends up saying like, what, did you just think that just because someone was rich, like none of them ever ended up like this? And he ended up uncovering that there was, you know, basically just like,
it was basically like a cult. This guy ran a cult, and he was like making serial killers.
Well, no, not just, it was that's what I'm saying. The end of the show was more so he found someone that basically kind of like capitalized on it, where it was like, I know you like mutilating and murdering people. Let me offer you this service for you to be able to do it with like little to no risk to you. And so that was supposed to be the next like big bad for him in like what would have been the 4th season. Was he was supposed to be coming after like that and all the rich elite that were a part of it.
Yeah, the show was really good.
But yeah, the show's awesome.
My Name is Earl, which I didn't know was canceled because I never watched that show.
That was a TBS show.
Yeah, I never watched that show, but yeah, I saw that it had been canceled.
So I don't know if the premise ever changed, but the couple episodes that I watch is essentially he won like a crap ton of money, and was essentially
he won like the lottery.
Yeah, and he was essentially basically kind of using that money to better himself, but also help the lives of anybody that he had like wronged or made their life worse. Like I know in one episode he helps somebody quit smoking, and he actually quit smoking like with them to kind of help him go through it. And then he has this ex-wife who's trying to get like her hands on some of the money, but he like divorces her, or like they get like separated. I don't think he ever like fully divorces her. So for like the first few episodes of the show, she's just trying to kill him so that all the money goes to her. And then like she fails a bunch of times, and then when she would have gotten him, he's just like, I already changed my will, so you're not getting any of this. And then she just gives up on that. But yeah, it was kind of a funny show.
who was his wife on that show?
I'm pretty sure it was the chick from Joe Dirt that he thinks is his sister.
Jamie Presley.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to see because I like looked up. I was like looking up like some of these, and there was like this that said like what the cliffhanger was on My Name Is Earl, and I can't find what it was.
I mean,
But they said it was like a pretty big like cliffhanger that happens.
I don't know. Again, I don't know how they like work. Sometimes, I mean, I guess like the writers probably have most of like the plot of whatever season you're watching to kind of go on, but at the same time, I feel like you would know whether or not your viewership is doing well or not, to the point of like, you know, if you're paying money to make these episodes and stuff.
It was just left on a to be continued, and then it just ended.
Okay. But I feel like, yeah, if you saw that your viewership was going down and your ratings weren't there, and you knew you probably weren't going to get like another season, I would have probably rewritten the last episode to kind of like tie things together.
But I think that's a cheat. You know what I mean? Like if they go like, yeah, this show's over, and then you're like, what are you gonna do? You do like the second to last episode, and then you decide, all right, this last episode is just gonna say 5 years later, and I'm just gonna do blah blah blah, and then it's because what like, about all the little other intricate stories that was happening through that season, and then you just go, yep, they just got resolved. Last episode, Earl crosses off the last name on his list.
I definitely feel like
all right.
I definitely feel like it's gonna upset a lot of like, especially if the show had fans. But at the same time, the fans are still upset that they didn't get any answers at all to the stuff that they probably wanted.
But they weren't gonna get answers either way.
I mean, but it would still get wrapped up. Like most of the time, like at the very least, if they got answers about like Earl and what he was trying to do, I feel like at the very least you would get that.
Like I said, I got the movie for Deadwood, but there was still shit that I was like, I would much rather have seen the war was going to happen, not just 10 years later and all of a sudden this guy just basically he got away with everything and now he's a senator just because at the end he ends up in jail. Is like, cool. I would have much rather watched Timothy Olyphant's character, the marshal, fucking put a fucking...
Oh, he's a marshal in that too?
Yeah. I told you, like, the premise of that one is that he starts as a cop, decides he doesn't want to be a cop anymore, goes to Deadwood to start a hardware store, and then gets kind of sucked into being a cop again, which is like what happens in the movie Tombstone. They go to start like their own saloon in Tombstone. Wyatt Earp and his three brothers.
Yeah,
or two brothers.
But
sorry.
But Virgil decides to become a sheriff.
Virgil does it first, and then Wyatt ends up getting sucked in because he's like, what am I going to do? Not help my fucking brothers out or whatever? Because Virgil does it, and Morgan joins up right away too. And then
but being like a sheriff and a deputy of a town is different from being like a marshal. Because once he becomes a marshal, he's ends up hunting down all.
He ends up becoming federal.
Yeah.
And then the last one that we kind of talked about was the Bastard Executioner.
You tell him I'm coming, and hell's coming with me.
Yeah, that Tombstone is amazing.
Yeah. If you haven't watched that, watch that.
That's one of Dad's favorite movies. I liked watching that with him. The Bastard Executioner is the last one that I wrote down.
But I mean, we had already mentioned it and kind of talked about it and what happened there. So.
Basically, that one is like his family gets killed, and then they kind of make him to be the executioner or whatever. And there was like some political shit in that. But yeah, after the first season, it got canceled, which sucks. And I think that was on FX. Yeah, it looked like it was going to be a cool show, and it was like a period show, like medieval times type stuff. And then, it just got canceled, which sucked. And I don't think I knew that it was going to get canceled. I think I watched the first season, and then I was like, oh, this show's not coming back. Like immediately when I finished it, I was like, season 2, and then it was like show not getting renewed. And I was like, fuck. So, but yeah. So yeah, I just kind of wanted to talk about shows that just never got their endings.
Yeah. But I mean, if we missed any or some of these shows actually upset you guys, I mean, reach out to us. Tell us about it. Tell us about shows that, or
just tell us about shows that you watch that, not necessarily that there was tons of them. I didn't name them all.
Tell us about a show you're afraid might get canceled. Sure. And you would be super upset if they did get canceled.
One Piece for Tito.
Don't say that. Don't say that. Hey, you don't say that.
I mean, yeah, there's animes too. There's
There's a
animes
bunch.
that
I thought Berserk was going to be on there for you, which again was one of those that got tied up with like a movie.
no, it didn't. It was like 4 movies, and now the show got restarted.
It did.
Yeah,
Oh,
but I'm not watching it. I just watched
for
the
fear
original.
of cancellation.
No, I could have gotten the ending. The thing is, the movies, I hated the animation. I just don't understand why they didn't do the same animation. They did like computer generated animation
Yeah.
stuff, and I fucking hated it. And I just couldn't watch it.
Like Final Fantasy Spirits Within, or worse.
No,
not like that.
No. Not anything like that.
I know what you're
Like
talking
the
about,
one of that show that I decided to click
Yeah,
on,
yeah.
like that, and I was like, I'm not watching this shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, where can I find you, Tito?
You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at BanditoTito93. Guys, please reach out to the show. Show any love and support that you guys can. You can always DM me or just at me on either site. And let me know what you're thinking about. Let me know what you like about the show, what you dislike. Just talk to me about anything nerdy. Don't forget about merch.
Yeah, guys, and you can also find me at Pops.Maniac as well as nerdy.bros.inc on Instagram. You can also watch all the other content that I have on this channel, which is not podcast related, but still good content. My girlfriend and I did a video where we opened up 50 Funko sodas, which that Superman right there is what a Funko soda is. They come in soda cans, and there's a chance at getting like a rare one, which they call Chase. And we opened up 50 of them to see how many chases we could pull. So you could go ahead and watch that if you want. It's pretty cool. We ate nasty jelly beans from Harry Potter when we couldn't get one. But anyways, guys, yeah, don't forget about merch. Link in the description as always. And have a good week.
Okay, guys, bye.